the next hour, one sentence is going to lodge itself in your mind and refuse to leave. And once it does, you will never chase anything in quite the same desperate way again. If you're new here, this channel exists for one reason: to take ideas that are more than 2,000 years old and hand them back to you with their edge intact. Nothing softened. Nothing simplified. Nothing turned into a slogan for a coffee mug. Today, we are not talking about discipline. We are not talking about stoic toughness. We are not even talking about suffering, though Stoicism has a great deal to say about all three. Today, we are talking about something most people never associate with Stoicism at all: desire, attraction, and the quiet mechanics by which a calm mind builds an extraordinary life while a frantic mind sabotages even its smallest victories. And here is the paradox we are going to unpack. Piece by piece, you cannot pull toward you what you are desperately grasping for. You can only draw toward you what you have already quietly become. Most people will read a sentence like that, nod once, and go right back to grasping for another 30 years. We will not. Let's begin. Principle 1. The discipline of attention in 304 BC. A merchant named Zeno was sailing from Cyprus with a cargo of Phoenician purple dye, one of the most valuable commodities in the ancient world. One shipment could make a man wealthy for years. Zeno had everything tied up in that voyage. Then the ship sank. In a single storm, he lost the cargo, the profit, the plan, and the identity he had built around all of it. He washed ashore in Athens with almost nothing. Most people tell this story as if it were simply about resilience. It wasn't. What matters is not that Zeno bounced back. What matters is that the thing he had been fixated on was suddenly gone, and in the space left behind, something else was finally able to enter. He wandered into a bookshop, picked up an account of Socrates, and asked a question that changed his life. Where can I find a man like this? The Stoics had a word for the faculty Zeno was finally using. They called it Prosoche. It does not translate neatly into English. The closest meaning is vigilant attention, but even that is too weak. Prosoche is the unbroken custody of your own mind. It is standing guard at the gate of consciousness and deciding what is allowed to enter. Before the shipwreck, Zeno's entire field of attention had been occupied by one thing: the outcome, the profit, the cargo, the future he wanted. There was no room for anything else. And this is where most people go wrong with desire. They assume that if they want something badly enough, think about it constantly enough, obsess over it intensely enough, they will somehow pull it closer. The Stoics discovered the opposite. Fixation narrows attention so completely that you become blind to every path by which the thing you want or something better might actually arrive. Epictetus described the unguarded mind like a house with the doors flung open. Any fear can walk in. Any craving can walk in. Any thought can walk in and rearrange the furniture without permission. Prosoche is the act of closing that door and inspecting each thought before it is allowed to stay. Because every thought of fear you entertain trains your nervous system to treat danger as present. And every desperate thought about what you do not yet have teaches your body that absence is a threat. A threatened nervous system cannot think clearly. Marcus Aurelius understood this so deeply that he reminded himself again and again, you have power over your mind, not outside events. That is not a motivational quote. It is an instruction. So here is the first practice. For the next 24 hours, every time you catch your mind spiraling into fear or desperate wanting, say one word to yourself: guard. That's it. Guard. A signal that your attention has slipped, the gate has swung open, and you are choosing to close it again. That is the foundation. Without it, nothing else works. With it, everything that follows becomes possible. Principle 2. The ruling faculty at the center of Stoic psychology is a concept most modern summaries never even mention. The Greeks called it the Hegemonikon, the ruling faculty. Think of your mind as a fortified citadel. Inside it sits a commander. Every insult, every loss, every desire, every piece of bad news arrives first at the gates. The senses bring in raw information. But the ruling faculty decides what that information means, and that distinction changes everything. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, built his entire philosophy on this idea. He owned nothing. He had no social power. He did not even have full control over his own body. And yet he insisted that he was free. Not symbolically, not poetically, actually free in the one place that mattered most. Because he divided life into two categories. Things that are up to us are judgments, our choices, our desires, our responses. And things that are not up to us, our reputation, our possessions, our status, our body, other people's behavior, and the final outcome of most events. His body could be controlled. His ruling faculty could not. And here is why that matters to you. Most people try to build a better life by forcing the second category. They try to control timing. They try to control outcomes. They try to control how others respond. They pour their energy into what was never theirs to command. And in doing so, they neglect the only territory they actually govern. Epictetus wrote, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them." That sentence is doing enormous work. He is not denying suffering. He is locating its source. The event is not the final wound. The judgment you render about the event is. And if judgment creates suffering, then judgment can also create clarity, or resilience, or peace. So the next time something goes wrong, a delay, a rejection, a plan collapsing, pause and ask, what verdict am I about to render here? And did I choose it, or did it choose me? Most people never ask that question. Their ruling faculty has been running on autopilot for years. Same triggers, same interpretations, same panic. Then they call that pattern my personality. It isn't. It is simply unexamined judgment. Train the commander, and the citadel changes principle 3. The discipline of desire. The Stoics used the word orexis to describe desire, the raw pull toward what you want. They did not believe desire should be destroyed. They believed it should be trained, not suppressed, directed, like a river channeled instead of flooding the land around it. Epictetus called this training the discipline of desire and aversion, and the core of it can be captured in one sentence. Do not seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do happen, and your life will flow well. At first, that sounds like surrender. It isn't. The Stoics were not telling you to stop wanting. They were telling you to stop wanting in a way that poisons the mind. Consider two people pursuing the same goal. One says internally, I need this to happen, or I am not okay. The other says, I want this deeply. I will give it everything I have, but I will remain steady no matter how it unfolds. From the outside, their actions may look identical, but inwardly, they are operating from two completely different states. The first radiates scarcity. The second radiates steadiness, and people can feel that difference. Desperation leaks out through tone, timing, body language, overreaching, clinging, panic. A settled mind carries authority. The Stoics knew something modern culture forgets. Detachment from the outcome is not indifference to the goal. It is the highest form of confidence in your own process. Seneca compared this to a javelin thrower. The thrower studies the wind, studies the distance, studies the weight, the angle, the release, then the javelin leaves the hand. From that moment on, its path is no longer fully under the thrower's control. A gust of wind may alter it, the ground may shift, something unforeseen may interfere. The amateur chases the javelin with panic. The master watches, learns, resets, and throws again. That is the Stoic discipline of desire. Commit completely to the throw. Release your grip on the flight. In your life, this means give the work everything you have, then release obsession with when it pays off. Show up honestly in relationships, then release the need to monitor every signal. Commit to who you are becoming, then release the demand to already be there. The javelin is in the air. Watch it like a master, not like a desperate amateur. Principle 4. The shedding in 165 ad. A plague swept through the Roman Empire and killed millions. Trade collapsed. Cities emptied, armies were crippled. Marcus Aurelius was emperor during the worst of it. He did not retreat into denial. He organized relief, sold palace treasures, led through catastrophe, and in private, he kept writing. The Stoics had an image for what crisis does to a person: a stripping away, a shedding, like a snake losing the skin that no longer fits. Crisis does not create character out of nowhere. It reveals what was load-bearing and what was only decoration, the borrowed identity, the performance, the illusion of control. Pressure strips those things away, and what remains is what you actually are. Marcus wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." Notice what he does there. He relocates the danger. The greatest threat is not catastrophe itself. It is reaching catastrophe having never lived with clarity, presence, or courage before it arrived. This is where Stoicism offers one of its hardest truths. The real suffering is often not the event. It is your resistance to the event. The delay is not the wound. The belief that the delay means you are broken, doomed, or forgotten, that is the wound. So the next time difficulty comes, resist the useless question, "Why is this happening to me?" Replace it with a better one. What is this stripping away that was never load-bearing in the first place? That question changes everything. Because then, difficulty becomes information, not punishment. Information, and from what remains after the shedding, you can finally build on something real. Principle 5. The contraction before the strike. The Stoics did not wait for chaos to arrive before training themselves. They prepared. Seneca practiced what he called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of difficulty. Not passivity, not the absence of feeling. It is the stability of a mind so well governed that external storms can rage without collapsing the inner structure. Loss may come, delay may come, criticism may come, but the walls hold. This is what the full architecture looks like. In the morning, guard the gate. Clarify what matters. Prepare for difficulty. During the day, commit fully to action and release your grip on the outcome. Train the ruling faculty to respond deliberately instead of reactively. When difficulty appears, let it strip away what was false. At night, review the day honestly. Touch the edge of loss long enough to remember gratitude. Then, begin again. This entire practice takes maybe 20 or 25 minutes of deliberate attention across a day. No special equipment, no secret ritual, no promise that life will obey your preferred timeline. Only the chance to become the kind of mind that no longer needs to force reality into submission. And that is the real shift. Most people are trying to manifest a different month. The Stoics were building a different soul. That is a completely different timeline. And it produces a completely different kind of life. Closing. Most of us do not arrive at ideas like these by accident. Something in your life right now is not moving the way you need it to. A goal keeps retreating. A habit keeps defeating you. A version of yourself feels close enough to sense, but still just out of reach. And somewhere along the way, you were taught that the answer was to want harder, visualize harder, push harder, force harder. The Stoics arrived at the opposite conclusion. Life is not built through force. It is built through becoming. Becoming the kind of mind that can think clearly instead of panicking, act steadily instead of desperately, want deeply without clinging, stand inside real difficulty without collapsing. Zeno did not recover his cargo. He built a philosophy that outlasted empires. Marcus Aurelius did not escape catastrophe. He wrote through it, and those pages still comfort people nearly 2,000 years later. Epictetus did not choose the conditions of his birth. He chose the one freedom no master could touch. None of them were promised an outcome. All of them were offered something better, the chance to become the kind of person their circumstances could no longer break. So relax your mind, not because nothing matters, but because the things that matter most were never built from panic in the first place. They were built slowly. Patiently, one guarded morning, one honest evening, one fitting action at a time.